Listen closely, because what I'm about to share will change the way you see yourself. Confidence isn't something you wear like armor, it isn't shown in loud gestures or the approval of others. True confidence begins quietly, deep inside. It starts when you direct your attention inward, when you stop chasing validation and start seeking clarity. That clarity becomes the foundation of discipline, inner peace, and a strength that no one can shake. Many believe confidence is born from achievements, from recognition, or from power. Few realize it is cultivated in silence, in moments unseen. The women who move through the world with calm authority know this secret. They have learned to turn obstacles into lessons, fear into insight, and distractions into focus. They understand the subtle art of presence, the Shaolin wisdom that transforms thought into action, action into mastery, and mastery into freedom. Today, I will guide you through these ancient teachings. You will learn how to observe your mind without judgment, how to use discipline not as a chain but as wings, and how to reclaim your energy from what no longer serves you. You will discover practices that train both your body and mind to move in harmony, to turn inner balance into real-world power. By the end of this video, you will not only understand the secret of confident women, but also how to begin walking that path yourself. Every point I share has roots in Shaolin philosophy, yet its lessons are timeless, hidden in plain sight, waiting for those ready to see. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire. Subscribe now and walk this journey with us as we explore the wisdom that transforms ordinary life into mastery, one breath, one choice, one moment at a time. There are moments when the mind whispers, "Not today, rest, wait," and in those moments, most people listen. They let mood decide action, let feeling dictate choice. But strength is not born in comfort. Discipline is not a harsh drill or a display of toughness. It is quieter, subtler, and far more powerful. It is the art of showing up, even when the body resists, even when the heart falters. I have seen students in the temple struggle with this truth. The sun rises, and some want to linger in sleep, to linger in excuses. Yet those who rise, even reluctantly, step into a rhythm that carries them beyond desire and fatigue. Each small act of presence, repeated again and again, builds a foundation stronger than any external force. It is not about willpower alone. It is about understanding that life's path requires consistency, and that consistency cannot be negotiated with fleeting moods. Consider the warrior who trains in silence. Some days the movements feel fluid, effortless. Other days, muscles ache, and the mind rebels. The difference between progress and stagnation is not talent. It is the choice to act when the body wants rest, to breathe and move when comfort calls for pause. That choice becomes habit, and habit becomes mastery. Real strength is patient. It does not demand applause. It does not boast of its endurance. It grows quietly, like the roots of a tree deep beneath the soil. Each day you honor what matters over what feels easy. You deepen your roots. You create a presence in the world that is unshakable, not because you are always energetic or motivated, but because you are faithful to your path, faithful to the practice of showing up. Discipline then is freedom disguised, the freedom to act with clarity, to respond instead of react, to move through life with the calm authority of someone who knows their own rhythm. There is a quiet moment when the world feels heavy, when thoughts pull one way and emotions pull another. In that tension, confidence falters, not because of weakness, but because the inner and outer worlds are out of sync. True confidence is not a mask to wear. It emerges when what is inside reflects in the way you move through the world. It is born in alignment, subtle, steady, undeniable. I have watched the monks train, noticing how each gesture, each breath, mirrors the state of their mind. When the body is tense, the mind becomes restless. When the mind is scattered, the movements falter. And when balance returns, calm, measured, precise, there is an effortless strength that radiates outward, a presence that commands neither attention nor approval. This is the essence of alignment. The first step is observation, to feel where tension resides, to notice where thoughts or emotions pull against action. This is not judgment, but awareness. It is the practice of looking inward without distortion, recognizing the misalignment without panic. Then comes adjustment, not by force, not by striving against the natural flow, but by gentle correction. A breath deepens, a posture shifts, a thought softens. Slowly the internal state begins to mirror the external, and movement becomes fluid, intentional. Ancient wisdom teaches that mastery of the self is mastery of the world. When inner harmony is cultivated, outer challenges lose their power to unsettle. Confidence is no longer borrowed from circumstance. It becomes a steady current, flowing from clarity and discipline. Each step, each choice, each word carries weight, because it is rooted in the quiet authority of alignment. In this balance, nothing is forced, nothing needs proving. The world bends not to ego, but to presence. The strength felt in that alignment is subtle, but it is unbreakable. It is the confidence that comes from knowing your inner and outer worlds move as one. The body is never separate from the mind. Every movement carries a thought. Every posture reflects a habit of attention. Practices like Kung Fu or Qigong are not merely exercises. They are mirrors. They reveal what cannot be seen in daily life. The tension you carry, the energy that stagnates, the corners of the mind that resist clarity. I have watched students struggle with a simple sequence, only to realize their hesitation in movement mirrored hesitation in life. A stiff shoulder, a rushed step, a shallow breath. They speak of impatience, of doubt, of distractions, clinging to the mind. And yet with patient repetition, with mindful attention, the mirror begins to shift. The body learns to flow, the breath deepens, and the mind becomes still enough to notice what was hidden. Qigong teaches that energy moves where attention goes. Kung Fu trains more than strength. It trains awareness, timing, and presence. When you push too hard, the energy resists. When you neglect it, it stagnates. Each practice is an invitation to feel the subtle currents of your own being. Where there is resistance, there is a lesson. Where there is ease, there is harmony. Observing these patterns in motion allows insight to arise naturally, not forced, not imagined. Through this disciplined engagement, mastery grows quietly. It is not a trophy, but a state of being. Where thought, breath, and movement converge, you begin to see patterns in life mirrored in movement. Obstacles become opportunities to recalibrate. Energy that once felt blocked now flows freely, not because the world has changed, but because the observer has. In this way, practice is a dialogue with oneself. The mirror of the body reflects the mind, and through it, transformation becomes possible. Strength is no longer only physical, it is clarity, presence, and the gentle power of knowing your own rhythm. There is a misunderstanding that freedom lies in doing whatever feels right in the moment, that rules are chains and routines are prisons. Yet in the quiet halls of the temple, I have seen the opposite unfold. Rules are not restraints, they are guides. Routines are not restrictions, they are the frame within which the mind can finally rest. In structure, clarity emerges. In repetition, awareness deepens. The novices rise before dawn, sweep the floors, practice their movements, sit in meditation. At first the schedule feels demanding, even burdensome, but slowly something shifts. The mind, once restless, begins to settle. Decisions that once scattered energy now follow a rhythm. Each action becomes intentional, each moment a chance to align with purpose. Discipline, carefully applied, becomes the pathway to true freedom, not forced, not rigid, but precise and liberating. A confident woman understands this principle. Without needing a temple, she knows that life is not chaos to be escaped, but a canvas to be mastered. Structure does not limit her, it reveals her. It allows her to act with presence instead of reaction, to move with purpose instead of drift, to conserve energy instead of waste it. She turns constraint into opportunity, seeing rules not as boundaries but as invitations to refine focus. Ancient wisdom reminds us that mastery of the self comes before mastery of circumstance. When the mind is clear, when habits are disciplined, freedom is not an abstract idea, it is a lived experience. Each choice, each routine, each act of mindful repetition strengthens the inner foundation. In this way, structure is not an enemy of freedom, but its ally. The deeper the practice, the lighter the mind becomes, Within discipline, life flows with ease. Within repetition, presence becomes second nature, and in that alignment, a quiet power emerges, steady, resilient, and profoundly free. There is a subtle weight that most carry without realizing it. It is not visible, not physical, yet it bends posture, clouds thought, and limits action. These are attachments, clinging to outcomes, to people, to ideas, even to one's own image of self. They seem necessary, even comforting, but they pull energy outward, scattering focus, and dimming the quiet strength that already exists within. I have watched practitioners sit in meditation, holding onto expectation or resentment, and the stillness they seek cannot settle. Only when they notice the grip of attachment, when they feel it tug at the mind and body, can change begin. Awareness is the first step. To see what is held too tightly is to confront the subtle chains we place on ourselves, and awareness alone is not enough. Release must follow. Letting go does not mean indifference or loss. It means choosing clarity over clutter, presence over distraction. Confidence that arises from this practice is unlike any fleeting pride or borrowed validation. It is steady, unshakable, because it is rooted in the freedom of choice. When attachments no longer dictate attention, the mind becomes lighter, the heart more open, and the path forward more visible. Every decision becomes less reactive and more deliberate, every step more grounded. Ancient teachings remind us that the mind is like water. When encumbered by debris, it cannot reflect the sky. When it is free, it mirrors the world clearly, without distortion. Release is not a single act but a continuous practice, a gentle unburdening that deepens with each moment of conscious attention. In this space, true confidence thrives, not loud, not demanding, but calm, steady, and aware. It grows quietly, from the discipline of noticing, from the courage to let go, and from the wisdom that freedom begins. Where attachment ends, the mind is not a passive witness, it is the soil in which life takes root. Every thought, every image, every repetition of the mind shapes the world we perceive. When attention drifts toward fear, doubt, or limitation, reality bends to match it. But when it leans toward clarity, possibility, and presence, life responds in kind. The seed you water becomes the tree that grows. I have seen practitioners sit in quiet meditation, observing how fleeting thoughts ripple into decisions, habits, and energy. One day, a single moment of awareness shifted an entire practice. A thought of patience replaced frustration, and the movements that followed were calm, precise, and powerful. This is not coincidence, it is proof that the mind shapes experience. The outer world reflects what is nurtured inside. Ancient wisdom teaches that mastery begins in the mind. Discipline is not only about action, it is about choosing which currents of thought to follow and which to release. The habitual patterns of the mind, when observed and redirected, can create immense freedom. Presence becomes a tool, a lens through which each situation is approached with clarity rather than reaction. Possibility grows when attention is aligned with purpose, and reality slowly bends to reflect that focus. Confidence and mastery are not created in grand gestures. They emerge in these quiet acts of mental discipline, the moments when thought is observed, when distraction is released, and when focus is returned to what matters most. Build a subtle power. It is the power of shaping life from within, of allowing what is cultivated inside to manifest outside. What occupies the mind becomes reality because life listens to attention. When thoughts are chosen with care, when awareness is constant, the future unfolds not as chance, but as a reflection of deliberate inner work. A life shaped by presence, clarity, and the quiet strength of disciplined focus. There is a difference between knowledge and possession. True wisdom is not hoarded, nor is it offered as a commodity to impress or manipulate. It flows naturally, shared by those who have walked the path and learned from experience. Confidence, in the same way, is not measured by what is shown or sold. It is reflected in the ability to offer insight, guidance, and understanding without expectation. I have observed those who carry this quiet authority. They do not need to prove themselves. Their words are measured, their actions deliberate. When asked a question, they speak from experience, from reflection, from the lessons life has taught them. They do not inflate their knowledge. They do not perform for applause. The gift lies in clarity, in the gentle illumination of a path that others may follow if they choose. A confident woman understands this principle. She does not compete to be heard, nor does she bend truth to persuasion. She offers perspective where it is needed, and steps back where it is not. Her confidence is rooted not in scarcity, but in mastery of self. She knows enough to guide without controlling, to inspire without boasting. Each word, each gesture, each shared insight carries weight because it is grounded in discipline, practice, and awareness. Ancient teachings remind us that wisdom is like water. It nourishes where it reaches. It moves around obstacles. It does not cling or claim. The practice of offering what is learned without attachment to recognition or reward strengthens the mind, calms the heart, and builds presence. In this space, authority is quiet but undeniable. True confidence does not need spectacle. It speaks in truth, in patience, in the generous sharing of understanding. It becomes a subtle force, shaping influence without force, and leaving a lasting impression, not through performance, but through depth, clarity, and integrity. Many search for validation in titles, ranks, or the approval of others, believing that recognition defines their worth. But mastery is not granted. It is earned silently, within the private chambers of the mind and heart. True depth grows in solitude, in reflection, and in the patient attention to one's own habits, thoughts, and choices. No accolade can substitute for this inner cultivation. I have seen students arrive with certificates, with names spoken in reverence, yet struggle to move with ease or presence. Meanwhile, those who dedicate themselves quietly, without need for recognition, begin to radiate a steady confidence. It is not loud or performative, but unmistakable. Each act of self-discipline, each moment of honest reflection, builds an internal foundation that no external title can replicate. Ancient teachings remind us that the path to mastery begins inward. The world offers no shortcuts. Lineage or rank may open doors, but they do not create clarity, patience, or insight. These qualities arise when attention is turned inward, when one observes the mind without judgment, and when choices are aligned with discipline and purpose. Self-mastery is a daily practice, small deliberate actions repeated over time, each shaping the character, each deepening understanding. A confident woman knows this. She does not wait for others to recognize her depth. She measures her growth by her presence, her resilience, and her ability to act with calm authority, even in uncertainty. External applause may come, or it may not, but it is irrelevant. The quiet work of turning inward, of mastering thought, emotion, and action, is where true power resides. This is the strength that endures beyond circumstance, the confidence that flows from clarity, and the mastery that is unshakable, because it is rooted not in what the world sees, but in what the self becomes. The day is made not by grand gestures, but by the quiet accumulation of small choices. Each decision, each movement, each thought carries weight, though it may seem invisible in the moment. Confidence is not a sudden spark. It grows steadily, rooted in alignment. When actions are guided by awareness and intention, when they reflect the clarity of mind and the discipline of practice, presence becomes the foundation of every step. I have seen practitioners rise before dawn, not for recognition, but for the sake of the routine itself. Each breath, each stretch, each stance is a small act of alignment. At first, these actions may feel mundane, even mechanical, yet over time, the repetition weaves a thread of presence through every aspect of life. Thoughts settle, energy flows, and decisions become clearer. Confidence emerges quietly, not as a performance, but as a natural reflection of inner harmony. Ancient wisdom teaches that purpose is not a distant destination to chase, but a living principle to embody. It is found not in accolades or achievements, but in the attention given to each moment. A mindful gesture, a deliberate choice, a conscious pause. These are the building blocks of mastery. When attention is anchored in clarity, even the smallest action carries meaning. A confident woman understands this rhythm. She does not wait for perfect conditions or monumental opportunities. She cultivates presence in the ordinary, finds alignment in daily routines, and lets purpose reveal itself through each deliberate act. Each day becomes a practice, each moment a chance to strengthen the connection between intention and reality. Through this daily cultivation, confidence transforms from something external into a lived experience. It is steady, resilient, and unshakable because it grows from alignment, from clarity, and from the conscious choice to live fully in the present. Remember this: confidence is not something you put on like a mask, and it is not proven by others' approval. It is cultivated quietly, moment by moment, through attention, reflection, and disciplined practice. Each choice to act with clarity, each effort to align your thoughts, emotions, and actions builds a steady strength that no circumstance can shake. A woman who walks this path does not need to display her power or seek validation. She moves with presence, speaks with intention, and trusts the depth she has cultivated within herself. This is the kind of confidence that endures, the kind that transforms challenges into lessons and ordinary days into opportunities for growth. Take a moment each day to turn inward. Observe where your mind drifts, where energy lingers, and where alignment is needed. Use these small acts of awareness to shape your presence, your choices, and your actions. Over time, this practice becomes a steady current, guiding you toward mastery and freedom, not as a distant goal, but as a lived reality. Carry this with calm certainty and let it shape the way you move through the world. Confidence is not loud, it is quiet, deliberate, and unshakable. Thank you for joining us today. If these teachings resonate, subscribe to Shaolin Soulfire and walk this path with us. Embrace each day as a chance to practice, to refine, and to embody the strength that already lives within you.